after we left. But they have a big, brand new prison. We were treated reasonably in that prison. We had one woman prison guard who, responding to every one of our comments or questions or requests for this or that, the one word that she said back to us was Shalit. Shalit. The name of the one Israeli soldier that has been captive in Gaza for the last 3 years. That was her response back to us. Over the hours, the days that we were there, about 2 days that we were there, she warmed up a little bit. After 2 days, deals were being struck by nations. We were visited by consular officers from the embassies. They were kept away from us for over 24 hours before they had first access to us. They saw us once. Some of us got one phone call home after the guards figured out how to use the brand new telephone system. They didn't even know how to use that. So it took a while to get the phone cards going and being able to make one telephone call in English for 1 minute. And most of the people that were brought off the ships didn't speak English. Most of them were from Turkey and didn't speak English. And so when they would make phone calls to their homes and start talking in English or in Turkish, then the guards would immediately cut off the phone call home. We had with us, I don't know, what is this? Oh, we're seeing video. Okay, great. One of the people that was with us in the prison, one of the women that was with us in our wing of the prison, was a woman whose husband had been killed in that attack. There was no special accommodation made for her as a widow who had closed her husband's eyes on the decks of that ship. She too was cuffed, was put out in the sun, the beating sun for hours before that ship got into the port of Ashdod. I had spoken with her on the very first day that I got on board the ship. She spoke some English. She and her husband both are martial arts specialists. And in fact, her husband had been the coach of the national taekwondo team. He was a volunteer. He worked with IHH, as did she. The men that were up on the top of that deck, the average age on the top of the deck was 50. These were not young kids. They were not young militants at all. They were older people who had been volunteering with IHH. One of the other people that was shot was the man that ran our press room. On board the ship were 20 laptops that were available for journalists to file their stories. This young man, 38 years old, he'd been a journalist himself. He then started working as the webmaster for IHH, and he put together the internet system, a satellite internet system, where people could file their stories and it would be uploaded by satellite. It was a system that was taken down by the Israelis as they were boarding the ship so that no information could get out about what was happening. Except, gosh, you saw something, didn't you? You saw it. And that was because there was a backup satellite system, just in case. So that's how the images that you all got out, that you all saw, that's how they got out. But this young man, 38 years old, as the commandos came into the press room, he was shot right to the forehead. Of the 9 people that were killed, the 9 men that were killed, there was by the Turkish doctor who did the autopsy, there were 30 bullets in those bodies. What do we do next? Where do we go from here? We've had a tremendous outpouring all over the world of demonstrations. In fact, how many of you all have participated in demonstrations either before the flotilla left or after it was attacked? Yes, and you represent millions of people all over the world. It's remarkable. When we left the airport in Turkey, at compliments of the government of Turkey, who flew us from Ben Gurion Airport in 3 chartered planes, all of the passengers with the exception of 30 that went to Greece. The rest of us got on Turkish planes and went to Istanbul. The papers that were in Istanbul, the international papers that were there, were filled with the photographs of all over the world where men and women just like you all had been demonstrating, had been protesting the takeover of these ships. So the world is alert. The world, there are more people that are more concerned about Gaza now than ever, ever, ever. We've got to keep this pressure up. We've got to move while we have this. The tragic deaths of these men cannot go in vain. The wounding of 50 of other people. We have got to make sure that their deaths are not in vain, and we have got to put tremendous pressure on all the governments of the world and on the United Nations here. It's up to us to keep this pressure up. The group that formed the flotilla, Free Gaza Movement, they are men and women of such great spirit and conscience, and they have some more plans for us. So I would like to end my presentation by bringing up to you all a man who has spent so much of his life of trying to advocate for the Palestinians, and who has been a part of the creation of 2 of the most extraordinary organizations of the international security movement and the
Solidarity.
So please welcome Adam Shapiro.